Now my pleasure to turn to Brigadier General Retired Dr. Shakhawat Hossain, who's an old friend from my time in Dhaka. So it's good to see you, sir.
Thank you.
Brigadier Shakhawat was commissioned in the Pakistan Army in 1966 from the Pakistan Military Academy at Kabul. He joined the Bangladesh Army in 1972 following country's independence. He was appointed as a commissioner in the Election Commission following the 2006-2008 political crisis, and he served on the Election Commission until 2012. He has written extensively on national and international issues in local, international newspapers and journals, focusing on strategic issues. So, without further ado, Brigadier Sakalot, over to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me in such a gathering where I find at least some of the faces that I have known. I was just trying to recollect if I have met Antonio in 2008 or sometime when IDSO was working. In fact, not working. In fact, was trying to assess the function of the Election Commission of Bangladesh. And while later on doing my PhD, I have consulted a lot of their publications, which are recorded in my thesis. Thank you very much. Thank you once again. And the first time that I have joined you, and I was eager to see Excellency Mr. Milam. I have happened to meet him when he was in Dhaka as the ambassador, U.S. ambassador, and I had the opportunity of playing once or twice with him in the golf course. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for once again, Mr. Antonio, setting the tone, and my compliments to all those who have joined to listen to me and us, and I hope that I can contribute what you wanted to from me. I wanted to share the screen, but I think better not required. So therefore, my discussion would not follow the way that I wanted to structure, but then let me spell out what I have in my experience and what I am saying now. The first of all, that we are talking about the integrity of elections. Well, there's a theory of integrity of elections all over, but the simple thing, the election integrity, as far as I'm concerned, you can measure by three particular things. One, is it participatory? Is the elections participatory? Are all the parties which are supposed to participate, have they participated? Particularly, to me, in my theory, is the parties which can form or have the ability to form the next government. That means the parties which have a larger reach all over the country. If they have participated, or whether they have not participated. Second is the election atmosphere was conducive for a free, fair, and collective election or not. And third, could the voters participate? That's one of the main, I believe, is the criteria, if I may call, the integrity of election. Who decides and how do you measure the integrity of election? If the voters are satisfied, the voters have participated, and the voter could freely access to the voting center and going back home, particularly countries like ours. So therefore, to me, in the main frame, if I say, these are the three things on which, let us see, what happening in Bangladesh. I would say particularly after 2008 election. Since I was a member of that election commission, so my saying may not look very palatable, but I can only say that that election was probably could have been served as a benchmark. Unfortunately, that was not. So what we see, if we now dissect the elections after 2008, no repetition is required because you all know 2014. So if you measure that integrity, the tools that I have talked about, 2014 election was nothing but a black chapter in the political, I would say, democratic electoral system all over the world. Because I have not found, I tried to find that more than half of the legislative assembly, the National Assembly has been elected without even having one single vote. That means 153 were elected unopposed. Is unopposed election illegal? No. Is it immoral? Yes. Because when in our law, you can be elected unopposed. There's no limit given. For 5 or for 3 or for 2 or for 6, how many constituencies you think should be sort of taken as unopposed? 153. It could have been 300 because we have 300 constituencies now in our country. I have not found any parallel anywhere in the world where democracy prevails or democratic elections takes place. So why that happened? Because two things. One is the larger parties were not participating in the election because they thought that elections under the political government in the past has not been acceptable to the voters nor acceptable outside. It lacked all kind of, or it had all kind of deficiency, integrated deficiency that you can measure. Obviously, Antonio can talk about. Therefore, there was a system which was brought after a lot of bloodshed, and that was known as caretaker government, which was supposed to be neutral government. If you look at the history of Bangladesh parliamentary election, so far 11 parliamentary elections have been held. Only 4 elections which were held under the caretaker government, which was acceptable to great extent to all the political parties, though the losing party has always talked about manipulation. It is because that is what is the culture here we have. But internationally, it was accepted to be a better election than what it was in Bangladesh in the past history. Therefore, the conclusion that all of us we have 2 very prominent gentlemen here, Mr. Nurul Kabir and Dr. Ali Diaz. They would suffice me or support me saying that except those 4 elections, so far no other election has been accepted as it is, and no other election had come as per the measurement of the integrity of the election, minimum integrity of the election. Now, what is going to happen? Why it is so? And 2014, I've talked about 2018 was last chance for an inclusive election. And the present government, present setup assured that there will be free, fair, and participatory election. Participatory it was, but it was no way free and fair election. It is marred with the term as the elections held at night. That means in many constituencies, the ballot paper was stuffed at night, and the election was almost over in the morning. And this is not what I am saying. This is not what I am saying. I am just quoting from even the chief election commissioner who was there on that election, Mr. Noor Huda, has been telling time and again. And there is a book one of those participants, or one of those members of the election commission wrote, and he wrote very vividly. So therefore, it was participatory, all right, but it was not fair at all. 200 and over 237, I believe, was the government party poll, and the rest was distributed among others. So that election was not at all acceptable to the people because it was marred with all kind of corruption, and the candidates were beaten. They're all law and order situation. Nobody controlled, and it didn't come up. Now, today, what has happened? In 15 years, of the same government staying through this, I would say, skewed election. In fact, and according to Ali Riaz having hybrid government, everything has been politicized. Every strata of the administration has been politicized. And even the election commission do not know what to do with the present one. Past election commissions have been marred with the connotation that they were also part of the government. And this present election government, I'm afraid, they're also walking almost on the same path. And if they have to hold election as per the constitution, as it is today, it's very difficult. It's very difficult in Bangladesh to hold election as per the constitution when 300 member parliament alive, politically alive, and the government stays because each of the government officials, more or less, if not 100%, 90% have been politicized, including law enforcing agencies. Therefore, when election commission holds election, they need about 1.2 million people to conduct the election in the field. And they are nobody other than the government employees and the law enforcing agencies, those who have more allegiance to the government machineries, to the political machineries, to the ruling parties than to the election commission or the electoral system. So that's what it is. So therefore, in Bangladesh, under the present circumstances, no election could be claimed to have any electoral integrity. And it's going to be business as usual, I believe. We are already seeing the situation which is almost getting worse or would get rather worse day after day. The problem where it is, why I'm saying that 1.2 million government officials and the law enforcing agencies required who are totally politicized in this last 15 years. If I see the pattern of now being the key administration being placed in the field, who would conduct the election, they most of them have 15 to 17 years of service. That means they have they've been growing up with this the regime that we have. And then the key figure in Bangladesh electoral system, I'm sure I didn't go through that because taking it that every one of you know that we are fast past the post system and the law gives the enough. In fact, when the schedule is declared, it's not election commission, but the appointees as returning officer, presiding officer on the field who are the main actors in that time. And unfortunately, our returning officers are all the district head, administrative head, known as deputy commissioner. In British time, they were known as DM. And if not all, I would say 99.9% is politicized. Therefore,
Brigadier, could I ask you to wrap up your introductory comments?
Yes,
I'm
just wrapping up. So therefore, expecting a free, fair, and participatory election in that sense, as it is today, is very difficult in Bangladesh. And I don't see the next election, if it is held under such circumstances, is going to be participatory, or it will have quote unquote minimum of voting integrity or electoral integrity. Thank you.